What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the ever-charming Dr. Disaster. And the Access Media does everything in their power to push back against the market in the gaming community. They have taken the profession of journalism, which was at one time meant to simply inform people about basic facts, to speak truth to power to these big corporations. They've turned themselves, however, into billboards for these corporations, choosing instead to use their voices to prod people into buying corporate slop.
Would I lie?
Yeah, these lying shitheels in the Access Media are obviously compromised, spreading the message of their corporate masters who long ago paid for their integrity using shit like early and exclusive access, hence the moniker that I use to describe them, the Access Media. And that is what we see here with a piece in the Rolling Stone where these guys are doing everything in their power to convince readers that we need to buy the Microsoft game that's coming out next year, South of Midnight.
No thanks, bro.
First of all, this game is a confirmed Sweet Baby Inc. project, meaning that for me and a shitload of you out there, this thing is a no-go from the start. The involvement of that company in any way is a non-starter, but on top of that, the makers of this game keep playing the victim. They are pity farmers of the highest degree. Last month, they put out a video where they were trying to showcase the game and they were trying to play themselves off as victims, hiding behind the race and sex of the game's main character. And now, this Rolling Stone exclusive interview is engaging in exactly the same behavior.
Stop it. Get some help.
You can't stop me no matter who you are.
At this point, they seem afraid. I mean, seriously, 2024 has been a bloodbath for the gaming industry, or at least for games that are made for the modern audience. That mythical group of enlightened souls who believe wholeheartedly in the progressive message and they buy up games like South of Midnight like crazy. But the truth is, all of these games have been failing spectacularly because the modern audience is just a myth. And this piece, which was written by Alyssa Mercanti, by the way, it reads like a crackhead begging for money, begging for you to give him a chance. This is pity farming at its peak, and I doubt very much that it will work.
I'm on my knees in a $900 suit!
You have no power here, servant of Mordor.
Alright, let's dive on into this game, South of Midnight, which is a confirmed Sweet Baby Inc. title. Compulsion Games, the studio that made South of Midnight, they were proudly listed among the clients of Sweet Baby Inc. on their website before the whole site was essentially yeeted. Now, they no longer show off their upcoming games or their client list because they know that if we, the gaming community, get wind of anything that they work on, that game is going to suffer badly. Every game that they've put out this year has been a massive failure. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, Unknown 9 Awakening, Capes, Tales of Kenzera Zhao, none of these games were even remotely successful, which is a massive black eye for the Access Media. This illustrates perfectly just how untrusted and out of touch with gamers these people are. It illustrates perfectly how well they have lost control of the narrative. Now, they want so badly to see South of Midnight be a success so that they can claim a narrative victory. However, I struggle to imagine a world where that happens. Word has spread that this is indeed a Sweet Baby game, and in fact, rumor has it that it was their idea, Sweet Baby's idea, to race swap and uglify the character in this turd because that's just what that company does. But let's read from this article so you can see what these bozos are saying. We're going to skip past the first part where they tell us about the basics of the game, and we're going to look at where they start talking about race. It says, South of Midnight is so very southern, and it's also undeniably black. Its protagonist, Hazel, is a young black woman, a successful track runner, and a weaver capable of deploying a knitting-like magic that heals the world around her. The pandering in the way that this is written is simply off the charts. But we're going to skip down a paragraph and read that so you can see how these are not serious people. Despite all their gestures, all their bravado, they are an absolute joke. It says, during a roundtable discussion with the trio, the conversation quickly turns to black hair in video games and how it has historically been either offensively bad or tiresomely redundant, like the now infamous Killmonger cut popularized by Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther. They joke about the cliche cuts and how compulsion went an entirely different, more grounded route. Imagine wanting to be a victim so bad that you complain about the haircuts of people you see in movies and other entertainment. Am I a victim because Homer Simpson has a comically bad haircut? Am I a victim because Ace Ventura's hair was comically exaggerated nonsense? I mean, get the hell out of here with that stuff. I literally can't take anything seriously from these people after reading this. But they go on saying, to Compulsion's credit, like, we really did have serious conversations about what her hair was going to be, Best says. That's Ahmed Best, the guy who played Jar Jar Binks in The Phantom Menace, the first Star Wars episode. But, he continued, she's not going to have the, general kind of asymmetrical mop, or, everybody has the same length dreadlocks. That concerted effort meant a lot to the black actors involved, who believe it will also translate to positive reactions from black gamers. In other words, they want to please the modern audience. And it's exactly that attitude which is going to cause this game to flop in the most spectacular and delicious of ways. To be clear, a game with a gothic South setting is not a bad idea, and I would love to see something like this succeed, something from that setting. But this game, it ain't it. I have no interest in people who pander to these race-obsessed, corporate woke morons. But speaking of corporate woke shit, we're going to skip down to where the heading here says, the Spectre of Hate. That is the same shield that all of these big, soulless corporations use to protect them from criticism. These days, an oil company could probably intentionally dump oil into the ocean, and the usual suspects would defend it, because the company would point to some of their black employees and talk about the Spectre of Hate. But this part of the article says, but the same black representation that brings so much joy to the team has brought undue scrutiny levied by a reactionary corner of the internet that still believes one consultancy company, Sweet Baby Inc., is forcing wokeness into video games. That rumor began swirling in March of this year and is still a rallying cry amongst right-wing gaming influencers on X, Reddit, and the darker, even more hateful corners of the internet. This is, of course, a purposely gross mischaracterization of what people fighting against this shit think about Sweet Baby Inc. We don't believe that one consultancy is literally pushing all of this crap into games. We simply noticed the pattern. Games they work on, games that Sweet Baby are involved with, are always filled with DEI and gender ideological crap that we don't care for. And we've also seen presentations from the founder of that very company, of Sweet Baby, where they are plainly stating their intentions to push progressive propaganda down our throats. And this isn't just right-wing people who are against this stuff. I hate to break it to you there, toots. I happen to be a libertarian. This is why you jackasses lost the election last month, because you lump everybody who doesn't buy into everything that you say, hook, line, and sinker. You lump us all into this group of hateful people. You assume that everything that we do and say is just hate, and you put yourself in this position where you try to make yourself seem like you're these perfect angels, and it just doesn't work. These disingenuous hacks in the media love to paint our arguments in the worst way possible, and you should always beware of anyone who uses a straw man like this to attack their opponents. But then the article tells us, without evidence, a line that these D-bags like to use all the time, but without evidence, they claim there's been all kinds of hate aimed at the creators of the game. Of course, criticism of any kind is classified as hate in their minds, so who knows what they're talking about. But then the article says, while at Montreal, Compulsion gave me a chance to chat about the hate campaign with studio head Provost and general manager Delilah Robinson, who had to make several important decisions in the wake of the hate wave to protect their team and their work. For both of them, the initial frustration of dealing with an onslaught of harassment was quickly replaced by a desire to ensure the team at Compulsion felt safe and supported. And then there's some quotes from the heads of their safety teams or whatever. I don't think we need to read that, because that right there, what Alyssa wrote right there, showcases the attitude at the crux of the disconnect between gamers and these studios. We voice our displeasure with how these companies do things, and they immediately just write it off as the vulgar bellyaching of the unwashed masses. They ignore it as a rule, and immediately these companies do whatever they can to protect their employees from criticism. This is the culture of toxic positivity at work. But I think that it goes to show the mentality of this studio, of Compulsion Games, and how they hate gamers and don't view any of our opinions as valid unless we are blindly praising the game and their decision to put a black girl in it. That is why this turd is absolutely doomed when it finally releases next year. They'll blame racism and shit like that, but it's all just meaningless noise from a dying tyrant that doesn't understand why its pronouncements are no longer being taken seriously. But I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your mockery of South of Midnight and Sweet Baby into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.